The Dharma is always timely, and what we have been studying and talking about and discoursing on for the last week and a half is anger. Yesterday we saw anger again. It's not the weapons, because anything can be a weapon. I can kill you with a magazine, ballpoint pen, a stick. So it's not the weapon, it's the anger. And until we find a resolve to the anger that's culturally in this country, we're going to continue to be plagued with expressions of that anger. And so again, one of the things that we're encouraging each other to do is to resolve to let go of any residual anger that you might have. And then it doesn't matter whether you have a gun or not, because you're not going to use it. You don't shoot people that you're not angry at. On the other side of the experience is impermanence. So the community got an unfortunate wake-up call to things not lasting forever. And we've dialogued about impermanence also, and the thing that it teaches us more than anything else is that things we love and care about can be taken away in an instant. We don't know when, we don't know why. It's the nature of samsara. And as I've always said, it's important for us to see that message, to understand that message. It's not about punishment. It's about things that happen to good people and to bad people. And our only defense against that, our only protection against that, is to make sure that we are always mindful of impermanence and that we embrace those around us that we love, because we never know when they're going to leave or when we're going to leave. So it's not just them, it's all of us. And we can only imagine the sorrow and the pain that the community is going through. But can you also imagine how much more exacerbated it would be if the morning of the shooting you had an argument with your son or daughter and yelled and screamed at them before they left for school and they never came home? That would be a hard weight to carry, harder than normal. Now, of course, for those of us who understand samsara, who understand impermanence, we first of all maintain a high regard and respect for the preciousness of life. It doesn't mean that we can stop everyone from dying. It just means that while a person is alive in my presence, in my circle, that I make sure that they understand how much I care for them, how important they are to me, how beneficial I think our relationship is. So whenever they or I leave, there's a gladness of heart that the relationship was respected for as long as I was privileged to be a part of it. The thing that most people suffer from is the fact that they take for granted what they have. And they only work hard at it when someone's screaming at them. Someone's expressing displeasure to them. We work hard for a day or two. But the respect of the relationship is to work hard every day that we have a relationship. That's the way to honor it. Certainly, getting angry with those we are in relationship with is not honoring the relationship. Listening to what they have to say, listening to what their complaints are, and doing our best to have a conversation to explain why you can't quite work on that yet, is a better way to do it than to get angry and get mad at a person's expression, because all they're doing is sharing their point of view, sharing why they think they're not happy. And of course, usually our endeavor, our wish is to make those who we are in relationship with happy. And so a part of that work is to listen even to the unpleasant things that they might have to share with us. Some things we might not be able to do anything about, but some we might. And that might be just enough to bring a smile to the person's face who we say we love. Impermanence. Relationship. Love. Kindness. Anger. Remember that anger has a long line of different faces. On the one end, there is impatience. You know, we get impatient with people quickly. You know, they're not moving quick enough for us. They're not doing what we think they should do fast enough for us, and we get impatient. But I think that when we begin to realize that that is anger in a different form, in a milder form, in other words, but it's still anger, that we won't be so inclined to hold on to it, to be okay with it. And of course, the other end of that timeline or that emotional line is rage. And we think that rage and hatred and aggression and violence is something that just comes out of thin air, you know, pops up out of nowhere. Some people express it by, before I knew it, I was angry. Before I realized what I was doing, I was in the throes of anger. But we hold the latent tendency to anger all the time, and that's why it can present itself to us and influence us in such horrendous ways. I don't think we yet understand the simplicity and the magic of this practice that we have. We think that if I have a tendency or propensity to anger, that I must work with the anger, that I must resolve the anger. The practice and the instruction is not to resolve the anger, not to manage the anger, but to abandon the anger. Now, for most people, abandoning the anger means to let it go, and maybe that's what you're doing, but that's not the full step in the exercise. To truly abandon a defilement, whether it be anger or greed or lust or conceit, cruelty, you have to immediately begin on the intention of abandoning it to demonstrate to yourself that you have abandoned it by practicing its opposite. So if I say that I know I've got this mean streak, I know I've got this angry streak in me that I want to let go of, I don't want to yell at my kids anymore, I don't want to yell at my partner anymore, or partners, my family. That is not just enough to affirm that, but then I must begin to love them. I must begin to demonstrate that there is no residual anger inside by offering the antithesis of anger. Again, if I just stop doing it, there's this hole in consciousness that my tendencies can slip back into with some encouragement from the outside. Or even from myself, when I say they deserve my anger. You know, they irritated me, they pissed me off. All of the wisdom paths have provisions that encourage us to view every experience and every person as someone who not deserves our anger, our ire, but deserves our love. And it speaks on that even when they are not kind to you, even when they are speaking cruelly to you, even when they are, well, you get the point. It says, when this happens, this is the time for you to shine. This is the time for you to step up. When the other person is angry, then you are there to practice non-anger. When the other person is cruel, you are there to practice non-cruelty. You can see that in Christian theology in turning the other cheek. In giving a person the opportunity to get this poison, this dynamic out of their system. It takes a lot of strength and courage to do that. It takes a lot of love to do that. It's very difficult for us in our conceit to treat those kindly, to love those who are different, who are treating us badly, in our opinion. You know, we find that when we are able to listen, when we are able to bring our heart to the table, when others are jumping up and down and sweating and spitting and screaming, we bring a balm, a salve to the experience that in many cases diffuses the anger of the other. It's a walk. Because we've been talking the last couple of days how hard it is to love someone who doesn't love us. But remember, that's conditional love. I love you if you love me. I love you if you do good to me. I love you if you give me what I want. That's conditional. That's not what this walk is about. That's not what this expression is about. When we talk about the relationships that we miss because they were good, they were high quality, we're often referring to the person or persons who showed us how to love, who showed us what unconditional love is all about, who forgave us for our trespasses, who gave us second chances and third chances, who had that patience, that dynamic, that they were able to put up with our nonsense while we got over it, while we grew up through it, while we finally decided to give it up, whatever it might be that was so egregious. And in the end, we appreciated their patience and their wisdom and their kindness. For putting up with our stuff while we stumbled and fumbled and fell and messed up and broke promises. If we're lucky, if we're fortunate, if we have good karma, any of those things you want to use, to meet someone with that kind of kindness, that forgives us our trespasses, that doesn't press on our shortcomings, but encourages us to do better. When we finally lose them, we miss them because they were such good friends. They were such loving people. They were such forgiving people, tolerant people. And all they were teaching us was how to love unconditionally. We were there. We were benefiting from that class, from that instruction, so that we could then go out into the world and love unconditionally. Not judge, not be impatient, but to accept each person where they are and encourage them in their own walk to move forward and to not give up on themselves. The way we think about relationships that we've had that way and how much we just enjoy their company. That whole process, again, makes us understand what joy is, how it feels to be in joy. So, we've been talking about the fact that anger doesn't work. And again, we got another demonstration of that yesterday. It just doesn't work. It's not the answer to anything. It's a defilement. It is ugly. It is toxic. And there's just too much of it going on in this country. And we've been talking the last couple of days about committing to removing one angry person from the world. Just one. That's all you have to do. And that one is you. Just one. You don't have to, you're not your brother's keeper. But you got to have some resolve about this world and how you'd like to gift it. And the last thing that works is being angry at the person who's angry. That's the last thing that works. That's just two angry people now. You know, not one, but two now. We've got to resolve. We've got to believe in love. Its power. And again, all of the wisdom past talk to us about love, about its power, its importance, its divinity. But somehow we don't quite believe in love anymore. It's too soft. It's too soapy. It's too weak. We'd rather yell and scream, shake our fists. Just remember that it's not enough to not be angry today. But the completion of the practice is to be loving today. That fills up that hole. That keeps any defilements from creeping through. And like I said, you can't or you shouldn't feel disrespected when you love someone who doesn't love you. That's not the deal. And if you're fortunate, you're going to meet a lot of people who don't love you. And those people will give you a lot of opportunities to practice. And that's what they're there for. You know, we hear that old saying about, well, he's your teacher or she's your teacher, and you go, oh, no way. But that's what they're there for. That's their role. To be the devil's advocate, to be the one that pushes your buttons so that you can know that you still have buttons. You see, because when no one pushes our buttons, we think we've made it. We think we're okay. We think we perfected our practice. We're good shape. And then we get ambushed. So the people who push your buttons are your friends. You might not see it, but that's what they are, because again, they're letting you know that the buttons are there. So, do your best. Most importantly, love yourself. Love yourself. When you are able to, in every second of the day, love yourself, the one thing you do is remove the responsibility from everyone else having to love you. Now you don't need love. You're not starved for love because you're giving yourself love. You're full of love. You got so much love now that you can just throw it out the window at people. Just, hey, you want some love? You know, like they do at the Mardi Gras when they throw the beads off the balcony? You know, just throwing people love. Hey, you want some? But just think how great that is when you have that much love that you can just share it with strangers, just people walking down the street. Here, take some, take some. And that's how it manifests. And the more you give, the more you get. Think about the things that we talked about or you listened to today. And I'm going to open it up for questions. But again, there's not a lot to talk about. And again, the problem is not weapons, not guns. The problem is anger. Think about it. Okay. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Michelle.
My husband is such a good teacher.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Wise pick.
So just as an example, walk me through this. He keeps bringing home plastic bags, and he knows that plastic bags are bad for the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And when he brings home plastic bags, I'm annoyed.
Okay.
And sometimes I say something, and sometimes I don't. What would be a better way to approach this example of people that I love doing things that they should know better?
Thank him for saving a tree.
How can I thank him for saving a tree when he brings home a plastic bag?
Because he's not bringing home paper bags. You don't make a plastic bag out of a tree. Make a paper bag out of a tree.
Well, yeah, but
Okay.
we have bags in both of our cars to take to the store.
Yeah, the cloth bags.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank him for saving a tree. See, you want to pick him. You want to argue with him. You want to make him behave. You want to make him do what you want him to do. That's not the way. The object is to find something good in the moment. That you're not distracted by the thing that irritates you. Because remember, irritation is anger. Right? So you're irritated sometimes, and sometimes you can work through it, and I don't know what you do or how you do it, but sometimes you work through it. Sometimes it doesn't bother you as much. But it bothers you because you notice it. And you have a conversation in your mind about it, even though you don't have a conversation with him. But when I'm able to say something pleasant to another person, not something condemning, thank you for saving a tree. That's all you have to do. Now, see, you were resisting that. You were saying, nah, I can't give him any compliments. He's doing bad stuff.
He agrees that plastic bags are bad.
Okay. All right, but this is not about him. This is about you being bothered. And you're asking, how can you do differently? And I'm saying, put your mind and put your consciousness and put your heart in a different space. Not a space of judgment, not a space of condemnation, but an appreciation. Thank you for going to get the groceries. You know, if you can't get with the tree thing, just thank him for getting groceries. Thank him for buying groceries. Thank him for being thoughtful about bringing the lamb chop or whatever it is he brought in just for you. Chocolate ice cream, whatever. In other words, find something good to say. They have this old saying that says, you know, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything. No, the practice is to find something good to say. It takes the mind off of the condemnation, off of the critique, the what's the word I'm thinking about? The criticism, right, of the other person. And because you vow to find something good to say in that moment, takes your mind off that, makes you look for something. You know, and it can be anything. It doesn't have to be grandiose. It can be, thank you for wiping your feet before you came in. You know, anything to just say thank you.
I left my loved one in that a state of love and peace today, and I came to Dharma Talk, and I'll have an opportunity to see her before she goes out into the world. And she works with people, and she touches their lives, and where they're dealing with a lot of frustration and working their own processes. And I want to make contact and be the person before she goes out today that can be anchored in love and peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do a good as job as I wanted to this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that comes up for you that I could touch upon the person I want to be in the world between now and then?
Again, starting out by just being positive. You said yourself how much you appreciate, you didn't use these words, but how much you appreciate the work that she does with other people, helping other people. So just acknowledging that, saying, thank you for doing all of the good work you do with the people that you touch in a day. So,
That's all.
you don't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be Shakespeare romance. Because that's not what you're doing. You're not, it's not about bringing flowers. It's not about fancy stuff. It's just about being truthful, being honest. And finding something that you appreciate in the other person, something that you think is great that they do. Then tell them.
Just tell them.
Just tell them. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay. Hopefully you've been going inside to find out what's there. That's the reason for mind training, to go inside and find out what's on your mind, what's on consciousness, or what's in consciousness. That causes trouble, that causes you to act in ways you don't want to act. Everybody's issue is not anger. So the first thing is to take the proper medicine. This is medicine for consciousness. And if your problem, if your stumbling block is not anger, then working with loving kindness doesn't make sense. It's not the medicine for what you're dealing with. So you got to go in and find out what is raining on your parade, what is causing you not to be uplifted and joyful in your life, in your day. What is causing you not to experience that? And then there is an antidote for everything. So, but to find out which one to work with is important, very, very important. So for those who know that anger is the issue, irritation about the bags, then you want to work with loving kindness. We can beat people down, I mean, just the term is nitpicking. It's like, I put the toilet seat down and now you complain because I don't lift it up, it's like, or I lift it up and you complain that I don't put it down. Our best friends, our best companions are the ones who keep us smiling, who always have some kind word to say to us whenever they see us. They just embrace us. That charity should start at home. Thank you. See you soon.